Hi viewers, and today we're looking at scaling. So we're going to be using two ways of actually scaling your sketch, and one way is by using the draft and using the tools in the draft to actually scale the sketch and convert the draft back to a sketch, and the other way is by using a spreadsheet, by taking a spreadsheet, hooking those up to the constraints, and then using a calculated field to actually change the dimensions of the actual sketch itself, and therefore any part that's attached to it. So scaling that up by factors. If you like this video, please hit a like and also subscribe to the channel. I also have a Ko-Fi site where you can actually donate to my contributions to the community, and that's at ko-fi.com/mang0. Okay, let's start with a simple sketch. So I'm going to use this sketch here. I'll go into it. You can see that it's got a number of constraints and it's fully constrained. We have all the lengths here that the sketch conforms to. So how do I scale this? Well, there's one of two options here, and one is using a draft and the other one is using a spreadsheet, and we're going to go through both of them. With the spreadsheet I'm going to go through a much simpler sketch so we can actually have a look at that one. But with the draft, what you would do is, if I come out of this, click on our sketch, go up to the draft workbench. So now we're in the draft workbench. Now what we're going to do is actually scale this in our draft workbench. Now we've got a scale tool here that we can actually scale with this, or we can go up to the draft and the actual scale on here. Okay, so either of those two. So I'm going to hit scale, and we get this scale up. Now you notice if we move over the sketch, we have a crosshairs, and what it's asking is where I actually want the scale of the sketch from. So if I click here, what will happen when I scale the sketch? It will actually scale out from this point. If I click the middle, it will scale up from that point. So I'm going to click the middle around about here, and now I'll get another window which allows me to scale in factors or keep it uniform. Now when you scale, if I go to here, you can see that it's scaled from the center up, so it's hard to see because we've got the actual sketch here. So the point that I've picked is actually scaled out from there, and you can see it's scaled out from that point there. If I cancel that and pick a different point, so click the sketch, hit scale, and we'll click on that point there, and we'll do 2 from there and 2 from there, and you can see if I just scroll out, you can see it's actually scaled from that point outwards. So it's all to do with placement. It doesn't actually affect the scale of the model itself, it actually just affects where it's actually scaling from. Now we've got these results down here, and these are important because at the moment it's clicked on create clone, which is the correct for this actual sketch. If we try to modify the original, this actually wouldn't work. See, if I use create clone and click OK, you can see I got the scale there as a clone. We have to actually do some additional actions on this to actually get it to work. So I'm just going to delete that scale for the meantime, bring back the sketch, just press space on there to make it visible, and you can see that's still okay. And I'm going to show you what happens if you try to scale from that point, and we'll go modify original. I'm going to do it 2 and 2. So this won't actually work because what it's trying to do, you see it's gone, nothing's actually happened, and the sketch hasn't been modified because it can only do it on drafts. So what it will do, it will clone this, create as a draft, and then do the scaling on that. And you'll see that when you go back into the sketch after we converted it back. So what we need to do is scale, pick our point of origin that we want to scale from, and I'm going to just make it 2 times. So 2 times on the X, 2 times on the Y. You can, if you so desire, click on uniform and we can add 2 here, so it scales on all of the factors. So I'm going to go up to 2, and I'm going to create a clone. That's all good. Hit OK, and now what's happened is that the original sketch has been hidden. So I hit spacebar to bring that into view, and it's creating a scale. Now we can't actually use this in our model. Let's just bring this back. There we go. So we can't actually use this in our model. We can't actually do anything on the part design. And if I create a part in there, and you would thought, right, I'll just drop the scale into here, but you can't actually drop that into there. So we can't actually do anything with that. What we need to do is convert that back to a sketch, and that is on the draft again. Now if we look along the top, see these arrows, if we drop this down, we've got this little icon here, which allows you to convert bidirectionally between draft and sketch objects. So that's the one we need. So let's make this visible. So just clicked on it, press the space to make it visible. Or we can get to it up to the draft, and there's draft to sketch. So if we click that, what happens is that now our scale has been made, still made visible. So let's hide that, and now we've got a sketch. So now from this sketch we can actually do whatever we want with. We can actually go into the part design, and I'm going to create a body on the XY plane on there, and I can actually dump my, because I've already selected my sketch, it's already placed it in there, so I can actually pad from that and actually create my part. So that's how you would actually clone and scale that sketch. The trouble is that our original sketch, we look at it and make the other one invisible, we've got our dimensions on here. That doesn't come through on the actual clone, because if we look at the sketch that's been created, so this one here, double click it, you can see none of this is actually constrained, so we would have to actually put all our constraints on there, where our original one has got all the constraints on there. So you would have to actually place all the constraints back on. It's just made basically a dumb clone of that sketch, but it hasn't pulled through all the constraints. If you do want to pull through all the constraints, you would have to actually go about this a different way, and that's actually using a spreadsheet to actually scale this. And what a spreadsheet does is that you can actually take each of the lines of the sketch, create an entry in your spreadsheet for the width or the height or the length or the constraint you place on there, attach those by a formula to these lines, and then use the spreadsheet and just take the cells and times them by the factor that you want to scale it to. So one thing I forgot is about scaling down. There's a little problem with scaling down, so what I'm going to do is jump into the draft and show you the problem. So if I select the sketch and then go up to the scale, draft scale, you can also use this icon here, and we'll pick the center point. Now I want to scale this to half the size, so 0.5. If I come in here and put 0. Now I'm hitting 5, and this doesn't actually take a fraction, so it only allows whole numbers. So what I've got to do is actually create a clone. So if I click OK here, and that's created a clone, scale clone there as usual, and if I go down to the scale on the left hand side underneath draft, I can actually open up the scale here, and I can actually put in 0.5 in here. Now this is also a shortcut to actually scaling, because instead of creating a draft clone via the actual scale, I can actually go straight in and create a clone of this sketch. So if I show the sketch, I'm going to click the sketch, go up to draft, and then look for clone. I've actually cloned the sketch there, and the clone actually has a scale, so I can come in here and actually scale up like so, or let's just hide that other sketch a minute so I can see what I'm doing. So that sketch there, that clone, or I can actually scale down to 0.1 and 0.1. There we go, so that's scaled right down now. So that's another way of scaling. So for this demonstration we're going to be using the spreadsheet to actually scale our sketch. So the first thing I'll do is need a sketch. I'm going to create a really simple sketch. I'm going to create a square which has all the sides equal. So I'm just clicking and holding down Control to click all the sides, make those equal. Let's set a length of like 10. Zoom into that, page up and page down to zoom in. So all those sides are equal to 10. I'm also going to put a small circle, small hole here. Use a circle, create a circle, and I'm going to create a height constraint of 2 and a width constraint of 2 as well, so 2 away from there. And also I'm going to create a larger hole in the middle there, and I'm going to make that 5 away from that corner, 5 mil, and 5 away from that corner on the height. It's 5 mil there. And I'm going to constrain the diameter to 5, and I'm going to constrain this diameter to 2. So that's my shape. Let's fully constrain this as well. So let's find our center point, and what we should be able to do is that one. So there we go, that's fully constrained now, and now we can actually create a spreadsheet. So to do that, we'll close this, zoom in a bit, jump over to spreadsheet. So we're in our spreadsheet, and I'm going to click on this icon here to create a new spreadsheet, or spreadsheet, create spreadsheet. So if we double click on the spreadsheet, what will happen is we will have the spreadsheet open down here. Now I'm going to translate, if I jump into my sketch, so I'll leave this open so I can see what parts are. I'm going to translate all these to actually formula from the spreadsheet. So to do that I need to transfer all of the actual values into the spreadsheet as well. So let's do that now. So I've got this open, so I know this square dimension is 10. So I'm going to jump into here, and the first column I'm going to use is just a name so I can identify what they are. So in here, square dimension, I can just call it dim, and we're going to put that one as 10. Now let's jump back into the sketch, and we've got the placement of this hole, top left hole. So I'm going to call that TL hole, and I'm going to put that as, we've also got a diameter on that, so I'm going to use dim again. That's got a diameter of 2. Top left hole X is 2. Top left hole Y is 2, so that's the X and Y position of that hole. And also we've got this hole here, which is the mid hole, so I'm going to call that MH, and that's got a diameter of 5 mil. mid-hole Y as 5. So that's all our diameters and our placements set for this sketch. Now I could reference this in the sketch by coming in, and I've still got the sketch open. You can see it's highlighted in yellow, and if I double click on, say, the 10mm there, I can double click that. I can click this little icon on the right hand side, which is for formula, and if I type spreadsheet in there, I can actually get to my cells. So I know B2 is the second one down from the top, which already I've forgotten what it is, so this is quite a hard way of doing it. But if I discard that, cancel that out, come into the spreadsheet, I can come in here and actually alias these up. So if I click on that one, what I need to do is close out my sketcher and go into my spreadsheet workbench, and there's a little icon here that says set alias for selected cells. This makes it much easier. So I'm going to copy the square dim, click on B, click on the set alias for selected cells, and just paste that in there. Okay, that you'll see it's gone a light peach color, and then we can actually do the rest for all of these. So let's create the aliases for all of these. Control C. Oops, don't want to do that. There we go. Click on that one. So just creating all the aliases, making them all turn that peach color. Last one. Okay, that. Now we've done that, I'm just going to save that. Control S to save. Any amendments you do to the spreadsheet before jumping over to something like a sketch, just save it so those take effect. So I'm going to jump into my sketch. So I've just double clicked on my sketch, it's gone yellow, so I'm in there. And you can use page down and page up to actually zoom into the pointer. Now let's double click this constraint, so this is the actual square size. Click on the formula, spreadsheet. Let's put a dot in there. So if I start typing SQ, there's a square dim. So that's much easier. Okay, that's actually pulled in that dimension now, so 10. If I OK that, this has turned orange, shows that it's been referenced from external source. In other words, our spreadsheet. So what that allows us to do, if we go back into the spreadsheet now and change, say, this to 20, hit save. Now when I go back into the sketch, nothing's happened at the moment. I can't even refresh it, and that's because I've got to close out the sketch, and you can see something's already happened. So if I double click on the sketch, that's actually changed to 20. Now I can't edit that without discarding, so if I want to change it back, and you don't want to do that anyway because you lose your reference, change it back, come back into the spreadsheet, hit 10, save. Sketch is still open. If I close it, you can see that's actually changed now. So any changes I've done to here, you can see they take effect. Actually, even without saving, you don't even have to save it, but make sure you save, because if once you exit this, it's going to revert back to what it was before. So there you go. So that's good. So let's leave it at 10. So what I'm going to do now is transfer all of these to the actual sketch. I'm going to do that now. So now we've done that, everything's in orange, so there's all been referenced from external geometry. Now to actually increase this by a factor of 2, we can actually come in here and times all these by 2 here. So we have to come in times 2 and actually hit enter, and that will actually increase that by 2. But we don't really want to do that because we have to actually do that for all of these here. So increasing those by a factor of 2. So what we can do is let's just get rid of that, hit enter, so it takes the value. Come down here, type in factor, and I'm going to actually place the 2 in here. So now we can actually come into this cell and go times, and if we use the cell reference B9, hit enter, you can see that's changed to 20, and we can do that with all of these. So there we have all those with the formulas in. So if I just use my arrow keys, I can go down and see if I've missed any. So I've missed that one there. So times B9, hit enter, and that one as well, times B9, hit enter. So that was all good. So the minute I change this to 5, all of those will change. So factor of 1, factor of 2, factor of 2.5. So as we change those, if we go to a sketch, close out of our sketch, and look at our sketch. So if I put a factor of 12 in here, we can see that our sketch has changed and it's actually grown. So put a factor of 0.5 in here to shrink it down. Our sketch is shrunk down. So that's how to actually scale with a spreadsheet. So I hope that's helped. So that's 2 ways of scaling with a sketch using the draft and the spreadsheet. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and please look out for some more. And I'd just like to thank my current donators who have donated via my Ko-Fi site. I hope to see you again, and bye for now. Stay safe.